and welcome back to my channel. Today we are in Matheran. See that? Doesn't this look like a veranda out of the forest or veranda in the forest? That is a teaser. Now you have to figure out why I called it veranda in the forest. And of course, in my favorite weather. And what is that? Let's come closer. Oh my god, is that a tower? Doesn't it look something right out of a fairy tale? Like, you can just imagine Rapunzel sitting there and letting down her hair. Except there's a bridge to reach Rapunzel. And let's get closer. I'll tell you why it reminds me of fairy tales. Now look at that. Isn't that a princess or the queen? Her nose is coming off if you notice carefully. Oh my god, we have to explore this place. Let's go. Oh, it looks like we are about to enter a forbidden gate. What is it called? Ooh, I can't even read. Brr, bar. Bar is a little modern, but okay. And here we go. Ooh. Isn't that some view? Yeah, I think I have stepped into a fairy tale and into one of those old castles. Oh, and look at the woodwork. It looks like it hasn't changed since the time this house was built. I promise you, before I leave this place, I am going to find out the history of this place. Well, you must have figured out that today I am in the mood of a fairy tale. And not just any fairy tale, not those Disneyed version that we grew up with, but today I have for you Angela Carter's Book of Fairy Tales. And on the cover, Trump's Grimm writes Observer. Now this book has a story. You know, they always say that you fall in love with the first place you travel abroad as a youngster. And for me, that was London. Of course, you must have known by now, I grew up on the authors that lived in London, their countryside. And anyway, I was visiting my cousin there and I was collecting stories like Grimm's. But I was actually searching for the original Grimm's tales because I knew that book existed. And you won't believe, I spent one whole day walking the lanes of London, getting into as many bookstores as I can, looking for the original Grimm, you know, where, if I remember correctly, if Cinderella's sisters did not fit the shoe, their feet were actually cut. I think I'll have to still research on that, but I remember reading it somewhere. So anyway, I didn't find Grimm's, but I found Angela. And I'm going to read out something from its book cover. It says, "Once upon a time, fairy tales weren't meant just for children. And neither is Angela Carter's Book of Fairy Tales." Isn't that exciting? And then she says, "This fabulous creation of strong minds, low cunning, black arts and dirty tricks could have been collected by the unique and much missed Angela Carter." Now the reason why I have called this out to you is to tell you that this Book of Fairy Tales is for adults. And it is unabridged. It's not sanitized. It's as she collected it from Arctic, across Asia, across the world. And I'll give you a glimpse of some of the titles. It says, "Clever Women, Resourceful Girls and Desperate Stratagems." Sillies, Witches, Up to Something, Black Arts and Dirty Tricks, Married Women. Now, that is not the fairy tale you must have heard about, isn't it? And that's what hooked me. So I thought, okay, if not Grimm's tales, let me read about what tales were actually originating from the Middle Ages. Because if you remember, that's the time when the Grimms were actually collecting those tales. And they were so dark because they were coming out of those dark ages. And they were spoken tales, you know, the tradition that even India had. That the tales went down and they actually reflected or, you know, sort of gave the atmosphere of the society that they were living in. So I highly recommend that you go and find out what the original Grimms were about. And if you find the book, please tell me where to read it. But having said that, I want to read a few lines from the introduction. And Angela Carter writes, "Although this is called a book of fairy tales, you will find very few actual fairies within the following pages. And unlike Cinderella, who is waiting to be saved by the prince, or the same with Rapunzel, This is a collection of old wives' tales put together with the intention of giving pleasure, and with a good deal of pleasure on my own part. I like Angela Carter. These stories have only one thing in common. They all center around a female protagonist, be she clever or brave or good or silly or cruel or sinister or awesomely unfortunate. She's center stage as large as life, sometimes like Samarescu, larger. So I bought this book along in this beautiful place, so that I've only reached midway. So yeah, I'm giving you a book review without actually having finished the book. But trust me, if you want to know what originally fairy tales are all about, then Angela Carter's Book of Fairy Tales is the book for you. Try it while I go and absorb this atmosphere here about the old ages. Bye bye.